money just a tool to allow us to, to be an extension of who we are and an extension of who our hearts, are. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, like, money don't make who we are, don't make, what our hearts are made of. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be ebbs and flows, in this thing that we call money and currency. That's just part of the game. So it was never really a mental setback for me as much as it was just a learning lesson and being aware. So it's like, okay, shit, I'm still involved in crypto. I'm still, gonna make it do what it do or whatever. Because at the end of the day, my passion, my purpose, and my heart is bigger than money. You know what I'm saying?
What's happening, y'all? This is Mike D with Black Fathers Now, where we're bringing the village to the brothers. Every couple of weeks, you can look forward to a quick inspirational message or a thought-provoking guest with knowledge and wisdom, all geared towards helping you be the best father that you can be. We're bringing the village to you. Now it's your turn to do something with what you learned. All right, y'all. Let's go. What's going on, fellas? This is Mike D with Black Fathers Now. And yo, we got a dope conversation going down today with my frat brother, Chris Cole, representing Augusta, Georgia. I mean, that's the home team, Augusta, Georgia.
Yeah.
Look, Westside High School in the building. Omega Psi Phi in the building. Dig it. We coming with it. And what's awesome about this one, this is actually the second time that he's been on Black Fathers Now. If you really want a huge backstory on currency and financial markets and crypto and all of that, go back to episode 43, where we really talked about his backstory, but then we also jumped into a lot of what he had going on then. But now we're going to transition into what's going on now, which this thing has actually progressed a lot. So Chris Cole, again, listen to episode 43 to get a really deep dive background. But he's a husband. He's a father of two with one on the way. The brother just got his hands in a lot of different baskets from an entrepreneurial perspective, but he's also doing it from the place of really making a difference. And he's really making a difference in a huge way down in the Bahamas. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But fellas and the ladies listening too, because we know y'all peek in, let's welcome my man, my frat brother, Chris Cole. What's going on, bro?
Man, what's happening, man? It's always a pleasure. I appreciate you having me on again for the second time, man. How you been? Man,
I can't complain, man. Look, I'm looking at that shirt. It says "Family always inspires
the hustle."
Dig that, man. Now, is that yours or is that?
No, so this actually my wife's her cousin out of DC. Mm-hmm. They made the shirt.
I like that. Family always inspires the hustle.
Yeah, so it's spell out faith.
Dig that. I love the acronym.
Yep.
That's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. And again, for y'all listening, that gives you the inspiration to go to YouTube and look at the video of this so you can see the shirt that we're talking about. So, Chris, man, like, we really want to get an update, man. A lot has transpired over this last 18 months or so since we've done an episode. You're now in the vitamin supplement business. You're traveling the world. I mean, if brothers follow you on Instagram, they always see you in and out of private jets and all of that stuff. You're affiliated, or you're one of the creators of this thing called the Georgia Growers CBD market. I mean, brother, we got to get a real update. But first, before we get started, I always like to give shout outs. So before we get into your story, give a shout out to your village, brother.
Man, first and foremost, I got to give glory and thanks to God just for putting me in position.
Absolutely.
What I'm saying? And, just my close friends and family who keep me grounded, and my children that keep me motivated. That's really my circle. You know what I'm saying? And I, of course, I got a lot of followers and people who I work with or work for me, and of course, all those people play a key part in just my ability to succeed and continue to push on relentless. So everybody play a part. Everybody who follow me, all my supporters, I greatly appreciate, them as well.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. And so, just kind of as an addition to or continuation from episode 43, which was a long time ago, we talked about cryptocurrency a lot. And at the time that we talked, crypto was hot. Like, it was everywhere. Everybody, it was funny. I don't even know if I talked about it on the episode, but I remember my mom called me and said, I think I need to get me some of this Bitcoin. I heard about it on the radio. And everybody was talking about cryptocurrency, but now it's kind of quiet. Now, I know there's been some back end stuff where people haven't been allowed to post stuff about crypto on some of the social media platforms, but you're an expert in that realm. Talk to us a little bit about how the crypto industry has either evolved and changed, and maybe how it's changed for you.
Yeah, so one of the biggest things in the lessons that I've learned, I'm still in crypto. I'm heavily involved in crypto still. Maintain a large majority of my network in crypto, but primarily Bitcoin. When we spoke last time, I was heavily involved in mining. Not so much now, still to a degree, but more so from a hedging standpoint. Because when I was in the mining, like you say, Bitcoin was hot, it was on the rise. I was mining what they call GPU mining, where I was mining Ethereum and other altcoins. And at the time, the returns and different things were, they were astronomical. You know what I mean? And then as Bitcoin just, started to slide, the other one started to slide and disappear. And we had Bitcoin dip, all the way to like 3,000 and some change or something like that, And
it had gotten up to like 20 at one point, right?
Yeah, it had gotten up to 20, but essentially Bitcoin, was the only cryptocurrency that proved to be sustainable. You know what I'm saying? So everything else that we were mining, all the Ethereums, the altcoins or whatever that was producing us astronomical returns, they decreased in value astronomically. And then from a mining standpoint, we were actually mining at a deficit on a monthly basis, and the machines were expensive. The electricity was expensive. So honestly, man, the GPU mining situation, probably over, what's this, 2019. So 2018, I probably lost damn near $500,000 in cryptocurrency value, what I'm saying, due to that, alternative, mining operation. Because Bitcoin was the only cryptocurrency that stood the test of time. You know what I mean? Even at one point you was mining Bitcoin at a deficit, but it wasn't necessarily killing your pockets per se. You know what I'm saying? But it was costing you, $400 or $500 a month overhead per machine. You know what I'm saying? Which adds up. Where the other altcoins, you probably could be, spending $1,000, $1,500 a month overhead. And not making any money.
Wow. It's interesting, man. Like, as you talk, and you mentioned the concept of loss of $500,000 in crypto valuation. And, we both the bros, I think back to the poem, If, you make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one, losing on one turn of pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. Like, to me, the mindset, like, you mentioned that, and it was very casual of $500,000, but I'm sitting here parking on that. I'm like, hold up, dog. The loss of $500,000 from a mindset perspective, like, how do you then basically gather yourself and keep moving? And we're going to talk about some of the pivots, that you're kind of going into, because I think that's something that the brothers need to pay attention to, because everything's not going to be a win. Sometimes you got to deal with some challenges. So how do you pivot from that?
Yeah, bro. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just money. Money is just a tool to allow us to, to be an extension of who we are and an extension of who our hearts, are. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, like, money don't make who we are, don't make, what our hearts are made of. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be ebbs and flows, in this thing that we call money and currency. That's just part of the game. So it was never really a mental setback for me as much as it was just a learning lesson and being aware. So it's like, okay, shit, I'm still involved in crypto. I'm still, gonna make it do what it do or whatever. Because at the end of the day, my passion, my purpose, and my heart is bigger than money. You know what I'm saying? I'm a hustler by nature. I'm a grinder by nature. So just because I take a L on something, I'm not gonna stop hustling. I'm not gonna stop grinding. I'm not gonna, fall out of love with the work. You know what I'm saying? Being in love with the work, being in love with the process is, a key component to just moving forward. You know what I'm saying? No matter what you're dealing with, you got to take your wins and losses, you know, the same. You know what I mean? It's part of the game. You know what I mean? So
that's real.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, man, what you said something that was powerful. Your purpose is bigger than money. And
yeah, absolutely.
And you know, and it's one of those things where I think for a lot of brothers who maybe aren't at that place financially where it's just money, you know what I'm saying? Like getting there mentally before you get there financially is the challenge, you know, because I think
the thing about it is so many people are rooted in the corporate mentality. They used to somebody else handing them a check, giving them a check. You know what I'm saying? So they vantage point on money and how it flows in and out of their lives is very, very singular. You know what I'm saying? So shit, if I made $500,000 or $1 million one time, I can do it again. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like it ain't no pressure. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is. You know what I mean?
You got proof.
Yeah, but you know, money come and go. It's called currency for a reason. It got to flow. You know what I'm saying? And all the time, it ain't going to flow in your direction. You know what I mean? So understanding how to constantly stay in the flow of money is what's, you know what I mean? Because you can't accumulate money. You know what I mean? Because I tell people all the time, like, you know, if you had, you know, you won a lotto and you won $5 million, most people go broke because they have no idea how money works. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that you got $5 million, that just means that you've extended your time before you're broke again. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't know how to stay in the flow of money, or you don't know how to put your money to work, then it's inevitable that you never gonna have no money. You know what I'm saying? Or at least an abundance of money. You know what I mean?
Dude, you said something there that was a straight bar. You said understanding how to constantly stay in the flow of currency. Like that's the thing. Currents flow, but it's like understanding how to constantly stay in the flow of currency. Fellas, listen to that, internalize that. Currency is a current. How do you constantly stay in the flow of currency? We have to think about that. It's a mindset. And it's interesting because, you know, as we talk about your pivots and some of the things that you're into now, from the vitamin supplement industry to the Georgia growers and CBD and, you know, all these other things you have going on, that to me is the epitome of what you're talking about. You understand how to constantly stay in the flow of currency.
Right.
That's powerful. So speaking of that from a pivot perspective, you know, we talk about now that you're in the vitamin supplement industry, and you've also started this thing, the Georgia growers, this CBD and hemp farm. I mean,
and I'm getting to launch a vegan food truck in Atlanta in about 3 weeks, and then a vegan restaurant in the next 3 to 4 months in Atlanta as well.
Are you vegan?
Man, I to be honest, I'm like 90% vegan. I didn't have any meat. I started the 1st of July, and here we are, September 19th. And since then, I probably eat meat on like 4 occasions, but I don't really crave it. Like I don't crave it. You know what I'm saying? You know, I can definitely tell the difference. My body feel good. You know, and for me, it's just about, you know, getting back grounded. So part of what we're doing at Georgia Growers too, I'm gonna be growing, you know, the weed and the hemp that's gonna, you know, pay the bills and build generational wealth. But we also gonna grow fruits and vegetables and different things ourselves. So, you know, we can take control over the things that we put into our body. You know, I'm gonna source it for the food truck in the restaurant as well, and other local markets. You know what I mean?
Well, dude, John, since you mentioned Georgia growers, man, talk about, because I've seen it on Instagram, and I think I've chatted with you a little bit in the DM about it. But talk to us a little bit about what is Georgia growers? What is it that you all are doing? What is it? You know, how did it come about? I mean, is this something that you conceived and connected with people, or were you kind of brought?
Yeah. So one of my partners, man, we've been talking about a farm and different things for years. Georgia made hemp and marijuana legal. So we was like, shoot, man, let's just go ahead and start a farm. You know, and once that idea was born, it was like, shit, we was off to the races, you know. So I put the concept together, the infrastructure together, and set out to be the first, you know, Black-owned, vertically integrated hemp farm, you know, in the state of Georgia. But not just from the standpoint of being the first Black-owned, but also being able to provide solutions for other hemp and marijuana growers in the state of Georgia as well, having everything figured out. Look, my son want to be part of it.
That's all good. What's up, brother? What's up, man? How you doing, man? What's up? That's It's Carter, right?
Carter, yep. Uh-huh.
What's up, brother?
Hey, Mr. Mike, hey, wave at him.
Hey, what's up, man? Luke, dude, I'm envious of your hair, man. You know, I'm follically challenged. I'm envious, brother. Look, fellas, this is Black Fathers Now. This is what it's all about, man. I mean, literally, we're dads. You know, it's all about our family, man. You see the top line if you're watching the video. It says family. Come on, this is what it's all about, man. So welcome, Carter. So yeah, so continue. So tell me. So
essentially, man, you know, my goal there is to really give African Americans, underserved community, you know, minorities an opportunity to invest in a situation that's essentially going to pay them for life, because we're talking about agriculture. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You know, but more importantly, it's not even just about the money or the investment standpoint as much as it is to get together a group of like-minded individuals where we can come together, collaborate, build our networks amongst each other, and continue to expand. You know, money is going to be the byproduct of us doing the things that we need to do on the farm. But ultimately, you know, $1 million, billion-dollar corporations can come out of a situation of 30, 40 like-minded investors just constantly networking with each other and different things of that nature, and just aligning our passions and purposes together. You know, so on a monthly basis, I do an investor retreat where we go out to the land, we pitch tents, we camp out for a night or two, get a chance to unplug from the internet, your daily routine or whatever the case might be, build with each other, and then at the same time be able to be hands-on with seeing the progress of the farm on a monthly basis as well.
Now, is it now? What's the status on it? Is it currently up and running, or is it in development? And also,
it's in development. We just broke ground on it a couple of weeks ago. I just started the cap raise a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, we just starting it, you know, but you know, we moving. We done already, you know, we've been through 2 investor retreats. We got another one coming up at the end of October. But yeah, like, you know, we didn't, the geologists, the agronomists, you know, the soil, you know, the water, the well, different things of that nature. Like, we already been moving and you know, doing the things that we need to do to get in position for a harvest next year.
That is fascinating. And so in Georgia, they've legalized, you know, marijuana growing and
hemp growing, yeah.
Yep. Okay. That is fascinating. Now, I guess to someone on the back end, you know, as far as getting involved in it, like I had a relative who lives up in Maryland. And one of the things we were talking about, she said, you know, and she's in the legal scenario, she's an attorney. And she said one of the challenges for folks entering into this particular market was that high barrier to entry from a cost perspective. Now, so to that point, if somebody was interested in Georgia to get into the CBD, the hemp, the marijuana industry, is there a humongous barrier to entry?
No. So the thing about it is, like, it's a private raise where essentially, you know, it's set up through a LLC and you subscribe to that LLC. So we got investors from $1,000 to $150,000 maximum investment. You know, and it was done that way because historically, like, African Americans, you know, we've been held out of opportunities to grow our wealth or financial opportunities that, you know, yield us substantial returns through this whole accredited investor type deal where you got to make $250,000 a year, or if you married, you got to have $300,000 a year coming in the household. You know, whereas if you make more than $40,000 a year, you make more than 90% of Americans. You know what I'm saying? So, let alone a household bringing in $250,000, $300,000 a year. You know, that's folks, that's doctors, lawyers, professionals, and different things of that nature that's still not considered, you know, accredited investors. You know what I mean?
That's interesting. And it's cool that you're really setting this thing up to really help those that aren't institutional or accredited investors to be able to get involved in this particular industry kind of on the ground level. So This is actually fascinating, brothers. If you're interested, how do they check out information on Georgia Growers?
GeorgiaGrowersLLC.com.
Okay.
Contact us page is, quite a bit of information, some videos and different things on the website. So,
okay.
GeorgiaGrowersLLC.com.
Okay, we'll definitely have that in the show notes. So, fellas, check out GeorgiaGrowersLLC.com. And then when I also mentioned earlier that brother has pivoted, it's a little bit more than just the Georgia Growers. You're also in the supplement industry. Talk to us a little bit about that, my man.
Yeah, so I bought a brick and mortar store in December or January, something like that. I had originally bought it for my wife because that was her background, where she come from or whatever the case might be. But, needless to say, working isn't something that she wanted to do. It was like, oh, okay, yeah, that was a good idea, but yeah, no, you know what I'm saying? So, I had the store, had to, make it do what it do. And as I dove into the industry and started exploring, the fact that it's a $34 billion a year industry with some of the most massive spreads in the game to be captured, what I'm saying? And then I've been working with athletes and celebrities, influencers or whatever for over a decade now. And I've seen them build multiple $1 million businesses off their backs, their name, their blood, sweat, and tears, and they get compensated in the form of endorsements. So I came up with the idea. I'm like, well, shit, what if we create you a product line with inside of a sustainable business model that you own, that will pay you in perpetuity, and then, last year we talked about it in episode 43, I took a company public. So that experience of knowing how to package the financials and different things of a company in order to take a company public or to attract venture capitalist money, I say, look, we're going to build this concept. We're going to build this product. We're going to prove the concept. We're going to, get all of our documents and financials and different things together. And then we're going to sell a portion of the company to VCs, where they essentially give us, X amount of millions of dollars for a percentage of the company. They take over the marketing distribution arm of it. And we just kind of kick back and relax, you know what I'm saying? So, that was my angle. April 24th, I launched JPS in conjunction with, with my partner, my brother, Chris Johnson, former running back for the Tennessee Titans. And, it ain't been, we ain't looked back since, really.
So y'all launched a supplement line called JPS.
JPS, Johnson Performance Supplements. We did a pre-workout and then we did a brain and performance enhancement supplement. I launched 4 or 5 other CBD supplement lines. July, Toya Wright, Wait No More product. I produced that. And then I got my company, Great Nutrition, that most of those products contain CBD. We haven't did a full-on launch there, but that'll be coming, probably Q1 or whatnot. And when that drop, that's probably going to be the biggest of them all. Absolutely. Just because of the CBD craze, the vegan craze, and all of that. You know what I mean?
And it's interesting. You mentioned the concept vertical integration, and I was kind of hearing that, and now it's connecting the dots. Because, fellas, if you're not familiar, vertical integration is basically from the source to the end product, right?
Yeah. I say from the seed to sale. You know what I'm saying? And that's from, and I ain't talking about the seed in the ground. I'm talking about the seed that's planted in your mind, then the seed that's planted into the ground, all the way to the end user. You know what I'm saying? And being able to participate, in the income and the transactions on each and every level of that process.
Dude, I'm going to tell you again, we're going to go back to this concept that you stated earlier, understanding how to constantly stay in the flow of currency. And so to that point, understanding the wave of CBD, but not even just the wave and the attention, but then the actual medicinal benefits on the back end and how it's actually helping people and its alternatives to some of the other treatments or the normal, I'm using air quotes here, normal protocols that are in place. So being able to connect the dots there, but then you're taking it back to the notion of with Georgia Growers, figuring out a way to create the source of the actual formulation on down to the notion of you have a supplement company that in a production in which you all can actually create it. So you go from seed to end user complete vertical integration in the CBD market. Brother,
Absolutely.
That's powerful.
Absolutely. You know, 'cause I tell people all the time, when you think about it, like, you know, God put us on this earth with everything that we need, you know, and he ain't charge us, you know, nothing but our passion and our purpose for it. You know what I'm saying? And you know, the society and world has found a way to charge us for everything that he's given to us, you know, in exchange just for our passion and our purpose. So if we can get back to being grounded, and we can get back to, you know, the source, then, you know, we can really control any and everything that we see fit, or that we wish. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's so much deeper than what you just said on a lot of different levels. I mean, we have everything necessary to do what we're called to do. We just have to internal, and it's not about planting that seed in the ground. It's planting that seed in your mind that is capable, that is possible, because he's placed it in your heart. Now it's like, you got to get to the point in which your mind recognizes what your heart already knows and feels. Yeah. And you have the ability to go ahead and have that faith to take steps and take action on what it is you've been called to do and to impact society. Again, it's not about, you know, the purpose is bigger than money. It's not just the money. The money is a byproduct of what you do. It's about acting on that seed that's been planted spiritually, but then also letting that thing grow into your mind to the point where, you know what, I ain't got no choice but to take action. Fellas, pay attention to that, brothers. Pay attention to that. And also stay in the flow of currency, because this is powerful. And speaking of things being bigger than money, you know, recently there was, you know, the humongous hurricane that really ravaged things in, I think, Freeport, and was it Abaco in the Bahamas. Yeah. You know, one of the things that, I hear little man. Is a little man in the background?
Yeah. He trying to rob the pantry right now.
That's what he's supposed to do, man. That's what he's supposed to do. He little man. Yeah. But one of the things that I noticed recently was, you know, you were really involved with doing some of the hurricane relief in the Bahamas, but you have a special connection to the Bahamas. Talk to us a little bit about your connection, but then also share with us a little bit about what you have going on, and then how people can connect and support, you know, the relief efforts to the Bahamas.
Yeah, man. So when I started the transition out of the streets into, you know, this side of entrepreneurship, the Bahamas was the first country that I visited. So, you know, when I got to Nassau, it was like, man, it was so much different from the hood. It was so much different than, you know, our city where we come from, and things that, you know, like, shit, I couldn't even really fathom what my eyes were seeing at the time. You know what I'm saying? And it really put me in an expansive state of mind. You know, and it was a short trip, but when I got back, like, man, that vision of Nassau and seeing the Atlantis and in the blue water and different things of that nature, the white sand beaches, like it couldn't escape my mind. You know what I mean? It just put me in a place like, man, I got to figure out how to get back there. I got to figure out how to, you know, visit other places. You know, start researching other places where I want to go next. You know what I mean? So it really, you know, was the starting block for me just to be, you know, to explore different places, go to different countries, you know, so that the Bahamas always just been near and dear to me, you know. So when an opportunity came to, you know, help, you know, I linked up with some good folks down in Orlando, took a jet over there, took a bunch of stuff over there. And then when I got on, you know, actually got on the ground, man, and was able to just see it firsthand for myself. You know, it just really struck me, you know what I mean? It's just like, man, like, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, we can't even, you know, most of us can't even fathom the things that these people going through or dealing with, you know, and I don't care what hood you from or whatever the case might be. Like, you know, them folks over there with nothing and lost everything, lost kids, children, you know, businesses, you know, legacy lives, you know what I'm saying? You know, and they gotta, you know, the ones that survive, they gotta figure out how to, you know, meet it face on and move forward some kind of way. You know what I'm saying? So put together, you know, a GoFundMe for people who wanted to contribute. I'm gonna be going back down there in a couple weeks, and, you know, my efforts gonna be ongoing regardless if people want to help or they don't want to help. But I know a lot of people not necessarily in a position to leave and go or do whatever. So the GoFundMe is just something in place for those who want to, do something, because it's like, man, the Bahamian government or the American government haven't stepped in, and then you look at an organization like the Red Cross or whatever, like, where I was at on Treasure Island, Treasure K, like the Red Cross was nowhere to be found, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, at least that, hey, whatever we seeing or whatever we doing, like we gonna make it over there, you know what I'm saying? And everything that you donate or put forward, like, it's gonna go to where it need to be.
Now, and so speaking of the GoFundMe, is there what's you have the link right now, or you just want to send it?
The link. I got the link in my bio on my Instagram page. So at Chris Cole I am.
Okay.
So shit, I'm gonna leave that. It's gonna be there.
Okay. Gotcha. So look, y'all make sure to follow at Chris Cole I am. That'll be in the show notes as well. At Chris Cole I am on Instagram, and you can get all the information about the GoFundMe if you want to help with that that relief effort, and just kind of, just help. I mean, because at the end of the day, like you mentioned, he had boots on the ground, and he saw that there was not a lot of help going on, at the time that he was down there. So hopefully some of that's changed. But even if it has or it hasn't, you have the ability to help in a capacity that you all are actually physically going there. So you all are putting this stuff in the hands of those that need it. So for real, man, we appreciate that. And definitely, hopefully the Black Fathers Now family can definitely support. So make sure to follow at Chris Cole I am on Instagram, and all the info will be there. One of the things you mentioned earlier, you talked about in regards to just kind of tying it back to what you were saying earlier about pivoting and transitions and change and everything. You said that you bought the brick and mortar supplement company in Alpharetta for your wife. Yeah. The last time that we interviewed, you didn't have a wife. The last time we interviewed, it was you had a girl, and you had a little girl, and that was it. Now there's wife, you got your little girl, you got a little boy, and you just shared with me that you got another one on the way in December, right?
Yeah, my baby girl, Leah Lease Cole, she'll be here. She's set to be here on Christmas. She's going to be a Christmas baby.
Wow. So we mentioned pivots and transitions, with all that you got going on, brother, you're a husband, a father of 2, about to be the father of 3. How has all of this stuff that you have going on, and when folks, again, when you follow him on Instagram, you'll see him in and out of private jets and going here and all over the place and doing his stuff. How has all of this stuff come back to impact you as a dad and as a husband, with 2 and 1 on the way?
Yeah. So, like my kid is the most important thing to me. You know what I'm saying? So everything that I do with my children in mind. And that's more so from the perspective of, laying a foundation for them to come after me and continue to build in their own right. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else, grown, myself and my wife included. You know what I mean? So, like my kids, like I can't even really put words to, how they motivate me, and it's all about finding balance. And that's not the easiest thing, because like I always want to be with my kids, but, that's not always the case. Like, most of the time that's not always the case. But at the same time, like, my kids, they travel with me a ton. My wife, she'll stay at home. She don't work. So she pregnant now, so she can't move around or whatever like that. But I take my kids with me everywhere down there, everywhere I go. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when they get my age or shit, when they get to high school, college or whatever, they done been like, I think my son done been like he 19 months. He done been to 3 or 4 countries already.
Wow.
He hear airplane. He know, plane, one of the few words that he know how to say, like, jumping on a plane ain't nothing to him. You know what I mean? And I think marriage is a different animal of his own. It's definitely, a learning experience for sure. Like, it hadn't even been a year, but like, man, I tell you, like, going from fiance to wife, like it's been oh man, yeah, to say the least, what I'm saying? Yes. And it's just like, it's one of them things being from where we from and me have experienced the things that I've experienced, like, marriages are totally, new set of challenges, you know what I'm saying? And it's a constant, like, constant thought on how to approach different things.
Absolutely.
And how to deal with different things. And, more importantly, find that balance and continue to move forward in a manner that's going to be best for me as well. It's going to be best for her as, also.
It's real.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one of the things I want to encourage you, man, is just the fact that, it is a challenge and it's tough, but it's well worth it. And you mentioned the concept of purpose earlier. One of the things that I've come to realize in my life from a divine inspiration perspective is that I always look for discernment, right? Like that's one of the things I always pray for. And so for me, one of the things when it comes to discernment that I always recognize is that if there's an opportunity or something that's presented to me, if that thing has the potential to disrupt God's divine order, then I know that's probably not something that I need to be affiliated with. On the flip side, if it's something that won't disrupt the divine order, and when I'm in the divine order, I mean that unit of me and my wife and our kids. I mean, that's the unit that he really wants to kind of keep solid. That's one of those things that's kind of like that breaking point. If this thing that I'm thinking about, that I'm looking at pursuing or whatever, has the potential to throw some disruption there, then I have to take a step back and think about it, because at the end of the day, is that something that he wants me to do? Because again, God ain't gonna throw nothing at you that's going to disrupt what he wants to happen. And so, so the thing is, so again, as you mentioned earlier, the concept of purpose is bigger than money. Your family, and you, again, the first thing on your shirt there is family. That's bigger than anything. And so to that point, any opportunity, anything that you're involved in that's supposed to be there, that comes from God, it ain't going to disrupt that. And so from a discernment perspective, always be mindful of that and kind of keep that in the back of your mind, but then also be willing to put the work in. Cause sometimes it's like, it ain't about winning. Cause I saw something the other day and it said, nobody gets a trophy by winning an argument.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that thing there, it hit me because your boy like to argue sometimes, but then I'm married to a sister. You don't never win no argument, so it's pointless for me to even try. But I still be trying, but I don't get any trophies for that. And at the end of the day, what did that accomplish? And so we have to work through issues. And again, we just hit our 10-year mark in July. So, and I will say that yes, things get better, but you still gonna have challenges.
That's just like, but that's with everything. It's things that we're gonna have to always deal with to the day that we die. You know what I'm saying? So I was just speaking to somebody the other day, like it ain't no finish line till they drop the casket. You feel
that's
me?
it.
From one level to the next is always gonna be something that that we're gonna have to deal with, overcome. There's gonna be trials and tribulations, but that's part of it. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people expect it to be easy, but again, that's part of our society and education system that we were bred in. We were bred to be fearful. We were bred to be lazy. You know what I'm saying? And we're constantly taught peace, but when we are let out on our own and we grown and we got our own families and we starting out this journey, we constantly feel under attack, and we are under attack at all times, but we were only trained in times of, be peaceful or peace or whatever the case might be. So most of us don't know how to deal with, opposition or things that come our way that's not, just so easy. You know what I mean? So, hence people, they stay in a 9-to-5 because they fearful. They stay in relationships because they're fearful, even relationships that's not good for them, because they're fearful, and they don't know how to deal with, opposition or animosity or
conflict resolution,
head on, you know what I mean? Like,
that's real.
It ain't no good without the bad. It's a matter of perspective. You know what I'm saying? And
how you approach it.
Yeah, you got to learn how to deal with both sides of it. You know what I mean?
That is so real. We have to learn how to deal with all of it. And it mentioned, it kind of ties back into what you were talking about, the concept of constantly staying in the flow of currency. constantly staying in the flow, because at the end of the day, it ain't gonna always flow in your direction, but you still need to stay in that current so that you can at least be involved. And, one of the things that I think about in some talks is the concept of, engage, never pacify. Because a lot of times, to your point, if we're used to it just being easy and somebody kind of ushers us along, we're not used to engaging. And sometimes engagement requires some back and forth, some challenges. But we used to go to the notion of pacifying, because when you pacify, you keep things easy. But that doesn't get anything solved.
Well, you think about kids and us fathers, and it's our duty as parents to ground our children. Like a baby is fearful and it needs to be pacified because a child is not yet grounded. That moral fabric and those principalities are not yet established. And unfortunately, that has transcended into a lot of us into adulthood, so we're fearful and we need to be pacified because we don't have no morals and principles to stand on. We don't have a foundation. We're not grounded. You know what I mean? And what I mean by being grounded is, I tell people all the time, we were born with everything that we needed to carry out our passion, and our purpose, so when you really think about it, at that core, when we come out of our mothers, like we were blessed with three things, and that was a healthy mind, a healthy body, and then the time that we have here on earth. You know what I mean? Everything else we don't have no control over. So being grounded and being foundational for me always consists of me being intentional about the things that I put in my mind, me being intentional about the things I put in my body, and me being intentional about how I spend my time. You know what I'm saying? So when people ask me, oh, how do you do this? Or how do you do that? Or why are you so confident? It's not from a place of arrogance, but can't nobody throw me off my pivot because I know who I am. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm intentional about the things that I put in my mind. I'm intentional about the things I put in my body. I'm intentional about how I spend my time. You know what I'm saying? So it's not easy for me to get swayed or pulled in one direction or another. You know what I'm saying? And then when I do find myself, off the mark a bit, I can always come back to that foundation and say, damn, what have I been putting into my mind lately? How have I been spending my time? You know what I'm saying? How have I been feeding and fueling my body? You know what I mean? And once you assess those things, then shit, I can get back on track and get back to doing what I do. Everything else, like shit, I can't control nobody else. I can't control the unforeseeable, the rifts and the currents of, of the river of life that's inevitable. You know what I mean? You got to deal with those and embrace those as they come and keep it moving,
Dude, fellas, I hope y'all paid attention to that, man. The benefit and the power of staying grounded, and that being grounded starts with knowing who you are, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, literally being grounded. And then the other part, and I think I would add something to it, and this is something that we all have to be mindful of. I interviewed a brother not long ago. He's a CEO of the Campaign for Black Male Achievement. And one of the things that he brought to the table was, when he mentors leaders of all different levels around the world and around the country, he mentioned that he always encourages them to have a mentor, an executive coach, and a therapist in the mix. And if you don't have all of those things in the mix, you're going to be challenged as it pertains to leadership. And so to your point, I 100% agree with the internal focus of we have everything necessary. We have to be grounded and we have to be very intentional about doing that. But I would also add to that. So it's a yes, and we need to also make sure, that there's the value of having a multitude of counsel as well. So we also need to make sure that we have some real ones around us that when they see us going left, they're not going to be our yes man. They're going to pull you back like, look here, dog, don't go that route. Like, no, that thing right there, come on back. That ain't who you are.
Yeah, and then we have to be, we really have to understand those people in their positions for what they are as well. Yes. Most people want to get a mentor because they like, oh, okay, well, shit, they going to do all the work or they going to give me the key to success or whatever the case might be. No, the purpose of having a mentor is to cut the learning curve in half.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, and for me, it's like, two of the most, valuable people, in my life from a mentor standpoint now are, two of my homeboys, TJ and Sharif, and it's like, shit, me and TJ talk almost every day. Me and Reef don't talk every day, but every time I speak with him, it's of something of value. You know what I'm saying? We come from similar backgrounds and situations. They older, they doing their thing and done their thing, and it ain't never no yes man situation from them. You know what I mean? It's always, boom, do it this way, do it that way, whatever, and I'm always, listening and taking heed to the things that they saying, because shit, they proven, you know what I'm saying? And for me, that those two relationships have been invaluable for me, because I've been able to cut my learning curve about certain things in half. Not going to them and looking for handouts or looking for them to, to do the work, you know what I'm saying, but really to understand how I need to maneuver, you know what I'm saying? So I don't make the same mistakes that they made, because I'm, damn near going down the same path that they, that they've been down, in order to be the successful men that they've been, despite their upbringing circumstances and background.
Dude, I'm going to tell you, that was really powerful in regards to really helping to define the concept of mentor, because I think we do have this thing misconstrued where we bring somebody in to do the work for us because we just want to kind of sit back and kick our feet up.
Yeah.
It's not about not doing the work. It's about cutting the learning curve in half. That's it, fellas. If you don't get nothing else about this from the concept of mentor, it's not about having somebody to do the work for you. It's about cutting the learning curve in half so that you can some of those
or give you the answers. A mentor ain't necessarily meant to give you the answers. You're your own man, you're your own woman. Like, whatever you do, you got to take ownership of it. You know what I'm saying? It still got to be yours. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't own it, it ain't yours.
Absolutely.
So I could be in the same business, the same lane, doing the things that I do, but I got to be 100% accountable for my actions and my ability to execute. You know what I'm saying? I can take bits and pieces and different things of that nature for my mentors, but I'm going to do it my way because I'm my own man. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, you just said something there. Fellas, again, this one is loaded with bars. I mean, he's connected with all kind of rappers and celebrities. Maybe that joke about to drop an album too. He said, if you don't own it, it ain't yours.
Yeah.
Simple, but doggone it, that is 100% true. If you don't own it, it ain't yours. Think about that. And I mean, and when you mention the concept of mentors, like, one of the things that I make it a point to in regards to like reading books and things of that sort, I try not to read too much of any one particular author, because when I read, people talk about, oh, you read the 8 books by this particular guy. The thing is, if you read 8 books by one particular person, you start to adopt that person's philosophy and mindset. Whereas you read a little bit of this one and a little bit of that one, and you pull the things that apply to your life here and things that apply to your life there, and you make it your own, then you can actually own the methodology or the philosophy pulled from others versus copy and pasting what someone else has done. Because, sometimes you're meant to go against the grain. Like my man Toby Ingwe says, you meant to go against the grain at times, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what's up.
And for me, like, I'm a big reader. I'm always reading like 2 or 3 books, at the same time. And people like, man, how you do that? And again, being grounded and being intentional. Like, I make it my business that I'm at least read 10 pages a day. I might read 10 pages. I'm at least read 10 pages a day, but sometimes that 10 pages turn into 50 pages, 100 pages, a whole book. It just depends. You know what I'm saying? And depending on what I got going on, what I'm working on, that'll really, have an influence on my current book selection. You know what I'm saying, as far as what I'm reading. But, again, embracing that, you know what I'm saying, being intentional, you know what I'm saying, being in the moment, and letting the moment just kind of take you wherever you need to be. You know what I mean?
Fellas, I want y'all to hear something right there. We're going to put a challenge out right now to the Black Fathers Now family, 10 pages a day. I don't really give a dog on what you read. Find 10 pages to read every day. I mean, and
you find a book that's 300 pages, like, shit, you can read a book a month.
That's right. A book a month. And I don't care if it's a book. I don't care if it's an article, a blog, whatever. 10 pages a day. If you all, fellas, in the Black Fathers Now family, if you can commit to 10 pages a day, 10 pages a day, I'll guarantee you your life will change. I mean, it can be anything. It can be spiritual stuff. You can go into the Bible or whatever. You can go into, tactics on this, on that. 10 pages a day.
Yeah.
10 pages a day. Just commit to that. 10 pages a day and see how your life changes.
Yeah. And I encourage people to get the actual books. I know people in the audio books and to listen or whatnot, but for me, it's a difference, man. Just being able to hold it in your hand, see the words on the page, speak the words out of your mouth. You know what I mean? Instead of hearing it in the voice of someone else, because with the audio books, like you listening to it in the voice of somebody else. You know what I'm saying? When you actually reading it yourself, like you hear your voice inside your head saying and repeating these things, you know what I'm saying? As well as your eyes following the words that, are articulating the message inside the book. You know what I'm saying? So you take it in on several, sensory levels that you own instead of receiving it from sensory levels of other people. You know what I mean?
So basically what you're saying is I need to get this episode transcribed. And so as they listen to it and watch it on YouTube, we'll have the wording come across the bottom of the screen so they can read the joint.
Yeah, that'll be a dope deal. A real exclusive interview. You know what I mean? We got something special for them.
Yeah, they got to read it and listen to it, and we'll figure out a way because he's dropping an album. Like I said, he does all this other stuff. So when he drops an album, we'll have his music in the background playing as well, and we'll have all this. That's what's up, man. Well, man, we're gonna wrap this thing up, but before we go, is there anything else that you'd like to to kind of share? You have the platform you want to share with the Black Fathers Now family, brother.
Honestly, man, nothing really, nothing in particular, you know what I'm saying? Like, I always leave out just letting people know, it ain't nothing that you can't accomplish. You know what I'm saying? We come from a God that's so powerful that, he wouldn't even allow us to think things that weren't possible to achieve. You know what I'm saying? So anybody out there listening or tuning in and you had a thought or you had a dream or you had a want to go pursue something, you know what I'm saying? Like it can be done, it's just waiting on you to execute it. The world waiting on you to bring it to life, you know what I'm saying? And know the fact that the shit going through your mind that it's possible and it can be done, But it boils down to really taking that first step, and the thing about it is people don't understand the power of just executing. A lot of the things that I've done, like I haven't thought those things through from start to finish or from finish to start all the time. Like, but I'm grounded and I'm rooted in execution. That's me, you know what I'm saying? Because I understand the fact that once you start moving on something, the world has a tendency to allow everything else in a line with that to start unfolding in your favor. You know what I'm saying? So getting the results that you want is just a byproduct of you being obedient to executing and embracing the process. Like failing is not an option. The results are not an option. If you execute and you do the work, the results are inevitable. It's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? It's going to come to life. But a lot of people let their dreams die and live inside their head. They never even make it to paper. You know what I'm saying? It's something practical that I tell people all the time. It's like, the first step is really, you got a thought or you got a passion or something that you want to do or accomplish, like write it down. It's something powerful about seeing your handwriting, seeing it on paper. That's the first step of taking something from the mental and spiritual realm and manifesting it into the physical. Because now you got a physical piece of paper with your handwriting about what it is that you want to do and what it is that you want to accomplish. And then the next step is, I tell people to say, okay, now that you wrote these things out on a piece of paper or whatever the case might be, and I didn't say type, I say write. Is list 5 things that you can do on a daily basis that may help you move toward that goal. You know what I mean? And you may not execute or get those 5 things done on a daily basis all the time. But again, I go back to what I was saying earlier about being intentional. So I have good intentions. I am intentional about what it is I need to do to start moving, in the direction in which I want to go, and then the last step is like, shit, after you write it down, after you write your 5 steps down for the day, it is really say, what is it that I can do today, right now, that's going to move me in that direction? Can I research something? Can I email somebody? Can I make a phone call? You know what I'm saying? Can I go get a book? Whatever the case might be. So once you define those, what it is that you want to do and follow those practical steps, you'll start seeing shit unfold. I had a call with one of my homegirls. She's starting a personal training business. She out of Nashville. And she called me about something else, and it ended up turning into a mentor session. And she was like, well, I'm going to roll my website out in a month or whatever the case might be. It's already ready. I'm going to launch it in a month or whatever. And I say, Jazz, why are you waiting on, why a month from now? You know what I'm saying? And she couldn't give me no answer. She was like, you right. I'm like, shit, roll the website out now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because guess what? What you put out there initially is from your vantage point and from your lens. Yep. You know what I'm saying? But when we start talking about getting people to buy into our ideas, our methodologies and strategies, it's never from our vantage point and our lens, right? Not saying that the message isn't important or imperative to, the success of somebody else, but we have to be people of understanding that we have to relate to other people, how they think, understand their vantage point in order to get our message across to them. You know what I'm saying? So we have to not be so selfish, not be so sensitive and offended. And I say all that to say is like, I told her, get it out there. You know what I'm saying? Because it's probably not going to get the traction that you want initially, but don't get offended, get feedback, put those, rate it on Instagram, do a poll. Do you like my website? What you think about it? Whatever, blase, and listen to everybody. You know what I'm saying? And then take those things in, and then start going back to the drawing board and kind of revamping things, in a way that people can start to receive. Because when people are critical of how you do things and what you do, not necessarily saying that it's important all the time, but it's a very important message and lesson there at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Especially when those things are being repeated by several individuals. If they not your clientele, then whatever. I don't give a damn what you say. You know what I'm saying? But if your clientele or your target audience that you're trying to reach is giving you, this type of feedback, then you need to listen to them. You know what I'm saying? You need to understand how to implement that in your product or your service offering, you know what I'm saying, and continue to build and scale from there. You know what I mean? It can't be, my way or the highway. They like it or leave it. It ain't that type of party when you start offering products and services to folks.
Service is all about serving. So if you're looking to serve, you got to get feedback to make sure that you're serving well. And I want to go back and put a pin in something as we finish up that Chris dropped. God wouldn't give or even let you think about things that weren't possible. Like God wouldn't even allow you to think about stuff if they were not possible. So to that point, if you're dreaming it, if that's something that's been kind of downloaded in you, realize that the possibility is there if you're willing to execute. But you got to be willing to execute. Wow. Yeah. Now, so if folks wanted to connect with you again, I know we have Chris Cole I am on Instagram. Is that the best way for folks to connect with you? What's the best way to check in on some of the stuff you have going on?
That's the best way. Like I ain't on Facebook and social Instagram, like my only social media outlet right now.
And they can visit GeorgiaGrowersLLC.com as well to get info there.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So, fellas, if you want to connect with Chris and see a lot of what he has going on, definitely follow Chris Cole I am on IG. Chris Cole I am on IG. I have a link to that in the show notes, as well as if you're interested in Georgia growers and becoming an investor and learning about these investor retreats. And
that's on IG as well, at Georgia Growers.
Okay, Georgia Growers. So Georgia Growers and Chris Cole I am on IG, and then you can also visit GeorgiaGrowersLLC.com to get more information and submit your information to check out some of the opportunities there. Also from Chris Cole I am on IG. Make sure to check in and see the link to the hurricane relief for the Bahamas. That's something that, you know, we all need to participate in, but that's definitely something that he's really vested in helping to make happen. So y'all make sure to do that. Make sure to support this brother, man. He has a lot going on, and you can learn from him. I mean, you hear all this knowledge that was dropped. You can learn a lot. Make sure to connect when you connect with him. Let him know you heard about him or you heard a lot more of his story on Black Fathers Now. And, man, we appreciate you, brother.
Man, I appreciate you for having me, man. It's always a pleasure to connect with you, man.
It is. And fellas, as always, make sure to visit blackfathersnow.com. Follow Black Fathers Now on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Shoot emails, blackfathersnow@gmail.com. Let me know what you thought about this particular episode, because this one was some stuff that you really need to think about. You probably got to listen to a few times to really dive into all the insight and the wisdom. But do so. Make sure to support my frat brother, my man, Chris Cole, Omega Psi Phi's in the building. We always representing. We're all right. And make sure to support him. Follow Chris Cole I am on Instagram, as well as Georgia Growers on Instagram. Visit GeorgiaGrowersLLC.com. And fellas, until next time, y'all be blessed, well, and wise. And I'll holler at you. Peace. Yo, fellas, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And always visit blackfathersnow.com, as well as follow Black Fathers Now on virtually every social media platform you can think of. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. Just follow us and engage with us, man. Look forward to hearing from you. And I guess until next time, I'll holler at you. Peace.